Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
NHRA Nitro podcast. Click subscribe, Spotify, Apple Podcast. We got a free mobile app. You are about to hear Steve Torrence, the reigning Mellow Yellow Top Fuel World Champion, had a 600-plus point lead erased. Entering the countdown, got taken out round one, first race by Clay Milliken, and is now behind in the points. What's he thinking? What's on the team's mind? Are they confident? What's going on inside the CAPCO boys? You are about to find out here on WFO, as Steve Torrence will be our guest. The show brought to you by some great sponsors like Total Seal Piston Rings, TotalSeal.com. Whatever your pistons, we're talking motorcycles, we're talking IndyCar, talking stock cars, NASCAR, Stock Eliminator, Top Fuel, Pro Mod, they do it. TotalSeal.com. They've got great tools. Check them out, all made here in America. TotalSeal.com. Samtech. .edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. Blockhead CNC programs, Motorsport EFI. They do the GI Bill, located down there in Houston, Texas. Samtech.edu. We've got a great guest on Factory Stock Podcast this week who is a graduate of Samtech. What a great story he's got, talking about Chris Vang. Subscribe to Factory Stock Podcast if you want to hear that. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA. It's made of coconut. It absorbs 560% of its weight, but it's very lightweight. So going over the road, you don't have to carry this big heavy bag of clay around, and it is better for you, and it is better for the environment. Made of coconut, MagicDryUS.com. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Marvin Rodak, hot sauces and spice rubs. Look, it's grilling time, but your grilling time is limited. All you people up there in the cold weather areas of the country, you need to get in on the Rodax. You need to get coffee for the winter. Pound of coffee roasted fresh per your order. They've got all kinds of great blends. They've got all kinds of exotic coffees from around the world, from places you've never heard of, but the coffee is spectacular. Plus hot sauces and spice rub. Marvin Rodak. Check him out. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Give him a call, 817-924-6821. And Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. You, your friends, you can actually have a race driving dragsters, 130 miles per hour in the quarter mile, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, launching the car, doing a burnout, staging it up, bringing it to a safe stop. All of those fun things can happen on Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure. Or maybe you want to get your Super Comp license. You can definitely do that as well. They've got programs that you can bring your own race car to see Frank Hawley. But the Dragster Adventure seems so WFO for you WFO radio listeners out there. Check them out, frankhawley.com. Also, big thanks to Drag Racing Edge Magazine and EV3 Drag Racing for your mobile device. Thanks to those guys for stepping up and supporting WFO Radio. Now, it is time. Joining us now, he is the reigning Mellow Yellow Top Fuel World Champion who finds himself on the outside of the points lead for the first time in a long time. We're going to find out what he's got to say. Joining us now, Steve Torrence. Steve-O, welcome back to WFO. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today, Jim?
I am great. I'm excited. We're getting ready for St. Louis. And after Reading, I thought to myself, like, man, this is interesting. So I'm going right to the source. Like, where's your head at getting ready to go into Gateway?
Oh, honestly, no different than it was going into Reading or any of the races before. We need to just go out and execute and do the best that we can. I mean, the cards are going to fall where they're going to fall. We gave up a massive points lead before Reading, and I think that's NHRA's efforts at trying to make the sport a little bit more interesting. And we fell victim to it. So we'll stay focused on going rounds and making one lap at a time and just see what we can do. I mean, ultimately, we got 5 races left, so we're only one into it, and I think we're just a couple rounds out from first still. So not anything to be concerned about just yet.
Well, I like hearing that from you. And, there's all kinds of tests for champions, right? And this year is just not going to be like last year was, where you sweep the whole thing and dominate. You're 47 points out of the lead going into the second race of the countdown, and just ended up on the tough end of a very close race against Clay Milliken.
Yeah, I really did. And I had been on the tree all weekend, and sometimes that's a double-edged sword because the guys can see it through qualifying and know what they got to do against you. And I had talked to Clay, and Clay goes, man, I seen you on the tree and knew it needed to be there. So he rolled it in a little bit. And, I mean, numbers, they work out however they're going to be, whether you roll it in and get some react or lose a little ET down there at the end. I mean, it is what it is, but at the end of the day, they outrun us. I mean, even going in a little deep and then still running the same as what we did, or pretty much, we just got beat. So tough race. Didn't like the way that it looked on paper, but we just got beat. So you got to take those. And I think that I had beat Clay there last year on a hole shot in the semis. So it was a little bit of payback for him.
Good perspective, and in the end, like if we move back on this sport, it's math, right? Like probability. You can't win every race. Some people had said that right afterwards. Like, you just can't win every race, and you guys have done such a great job over the past 3 seasons of not winning every race, but certainly a large portion of them. And so maybe the odds have kind of crept up on you the past few races. After first round, when both CAPCO cars were out for the first time, and as long as I can remember, I have no idea when the last time a CAPCO car didn't go by first round. Did you guys, circle the wagons, have a talk, have a discussion? Are you going to use this for motivation? What happened within the team?
Nothing really. I mean, it wasn't like a momentous moment. I mean, my dad's car went out there and smoked the tires. They missed the tune-up a little bit, and we went out there and just got beat. So, I mean, it is what it is, and you can't dwell on the negative side of it. You just got to keep moving forward. And so the guys started packing up and head back home, and everybody had a weekend off and just a little bit of relaxation, and we'll show up at St. Louis ready to go.
Well, that is great. Now, relaxation-wise, what did you do?
Man, honestly, I stayed at the house and didn't do a whole lot this weekend. My girlfriend Natalie, she lost her grandfather earlier in the week, so didn't really do a whole lot. She was having to take care of that and do things with her family, and she's been out in California since Sunday morning of Reading, so just kind of stayed at home and didn't really have a whole lot going on, man.
Real life kind of taking precedent over drag race life for a few days at very least.
Yes, sir.
That happens from time to time. Okay, so here we are. We're headed to the AAA Midwest Nationals. You're not in the points lead for a while. It's been a while since you guys won a race, but it sounds to me like you're pretty confident because you know what you guys have and what you've been capable of. Let's talk about the prep for the countdown that went in on the Western Swing, making sure that, let's call it the B car, the backup car. You have lived the experience of needing to have a race-ready backup car that you can go to at any moment. We saw John Force switch cars mid-qualifying in race 1 of the countdown, and he needed it. There was a chassis problem. You guys put a lot of effort into that. Tell us a little bit about it.
We do, and we did the same thing last year where we just brought that backup car out, ran the swing with it, and ran Brainerd with it just to make sure that everything was the same. You knew exactly where you needed to be with any of the tuning calls, that all of the controller, the clutch management system, all of that would be what you expected it to be if you needed that car. We fell victim to that in 2017 where we completely lost our primary car and weren't up to par with the car that we brought back out. And so we just kind of have gotten ourselves into a pattern of doing that. And then also we were trying some things. I mean, typically last year and even the year before, NHRA says they're not going to change the track tune-up or set up, and they're not going to change the prep and all that, but ultimately they do year after year. So we knew that we needed to have a really good setup to try to run harder. And I mean, as you can see, you've seen Brittany and Grubnick go out there and go 62. So definitely track prep has changed, and we were trying to not be behind the 8 ball when that happened. And that's kind of what we did. We kind of got behind on Friday at Reading and never were able to catch back up. But I think that we're closer to being able to run as hard as those guys do when we need to. We're just not there yet.
Did you think a run like that was out there? I'm like second wave on like what's possible, right? I listen to people who are smart as opposed to like guessing my own. I would have never thought that we were going to see a 62 out there. I know it's a great track and there's a lot of oxygen and the track surface is gorilla, all of those things, but I didn't really expect to see a world record. What did you think when that went down?
Honestly, I wasn't too surprised by it. Those conditions are in David Grubnick's wheelhouse. I mean, that guy, he is the man when it comes to being able to throw down and outrun everybody. I mean, that guy he has it figured out. He's done well at it. This is the second car in 2 years that he's set the record with. I mean, he did it with Clay. He did it with Brittany. And so, I mean, a lot of respect goes out to David Grubnick and that entire team, because they've shown that when conditions are the best, they can outrun all of us. And so it didn't surprise me. I mean, I knew what the conditions were. It lingered around, for Friday and Saturday, and just he threw his shot out there and got it, and then was able to just ease around and tweak on it. I mean, and so no, I was not surprised at all to see Grubnick throw down like that. I mean, like I said, he's the man when it comes to those conditions in that track.
I agree. It was neat, and it's good for the sport. I think whenever we see big numbers, people pay attention to the sport. I'm wondering, like, the excitement as a competitor to be in a fight where you're not the overwhelming favorite, if that makes sense. I know people want to go out and they want to win and they want to dominate, but at the same time, when someone gets backed off the starting line, I hear racers say all the time, no, man, I want to race for it, right? I want to race for it. That's why I'm here to race for it. And so now you're in a race. Doug Coletta leading the points, running well. Several other teams emerging, giving it all they got to go after you in the championship that you won last year and you're trying to defend. So give me a little thought on that. You're going to have to fight for this.
Well, Joe, we're only one race into this deal, so I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that we've lost our advantage or anybody else is really just, chasing us down. I mean, you got to look at, yes, it is a 6-race countdown, but you do got to look at the overall season. We won, right at 45% of the races or so, whatever 8 out of 18 is, and had amassed over a 600-point lead. So I don't think that you could say that we just have fallen off or everybody else is catching up. We just have had a bad couple of races, but Reading would be the only one that I really attributed to just being a bad race. The Western Swing, Brainerd and Indy, we were, like I said, we had the luxury of being able to go out and test some things, knowing that at that point we were so far ahead that we would, no matter what we did, we would be the number one seed going into the countdown. So I think that we don't really get bent out of shape. We don't really look at anything different than what we're doing, and really don't focus on what anybody else is doing. I think that when you start looking at what other people are doing, you distract yourself and take your focus and concentration off of your own job. And we learned that a few years ago. We're there to race and race ourselves. And I mean, at the end of the day, more often than not, we have to be beat, not beat ourselves. And so we're just going to try to continue with that mindset and that way of racing.
No, I think that is great. And that's the attitude of a champion. Like, the highs are not too high and the lows are not too low. And, like you said, there are 5 races remaining. And so you can't look at any one race, especially the second race, with any kind of level of anxiety.
No, and I mean, honestly, as long as you're within a couple rounds at Pomona with the 1.5 points, I mean, it's going to be, up for grabs with anybody. So it ain't over till Sunday night at Pomona, and we got a long ways to go. So I'm not gonna get distracted or frustrated with anything that's happened so far. I mean, like you said when we started this, we're still right at 2 rounds out of first, and so we'll just keep moving forward.
There you go. I appreciate that sentiment, and I think that is kind of what I expected. But that having been said, you guys, when you win, you really put it out there. The enjoyment. And so I'm glad that you were giving us this opportunity to see what your mindset is when you're on the other end of it, right? I think sometimes that can be more interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's with the success that we've had over the last 3 seasons, you can't let a couple bad outings or not winning a race in 3 or 4 races really affect your attitude. I mean, at the first of the season, I think we went 4 or 5 races without winning, and I seem to recall a lot of people calling me going, "Oh man, what's the deal? What's happened? What's going on?" And it's really pretty cool and funny when you go 4 or 5 races without winning a race and somebody thinks you're in a slump. So we just take it as a compliment and keep moving on. I mean, we're doing the best that we can, and I know that all the guys at the shop are doing everything they can and are probably more hungry and more driven to win this championship than the one last year.
Wow. Well, that is a great way to say it. Like when you don't win a couple of races and all of a sudden you're in a slump, you take it as a compliment because people have come to expect you to win every race, which is that's the upside of it. What about Billy? Just give me a little insight into your dad. He's come into his own. He made the countdown since the last we spoke. First race, that was tough. Smoked the tires, but it happens. What's it like to, you always like racing with your dad, right? Like that's a big moment. Now you're racing with a champion or for a championship with and against your dad. It's flipped up the first race, but still the experience, very unique. Not everybody gets to do what you're doing.
No, and it is really special. And at the end of the day, I'm racing against 9 other drivers in the countdown, whether it's my dad or my buddy Antron or my buddy Doug. I mean, it's all of us out there going for it. And I mean, I think that we've displayed in the past a couple times over that we race heads up. So it's just another car out there. And I'll tell you, that car, it knows exactly our tune-up. So I'm probably more nervous about that car than any of the rest.
Yeah, that makes sense. They know what you know, and you know what they know, and it's in-house. And it's your dad, and he wants to win. He tried to mess up your perfect countdown last year. That one proved it to me forever.
Yeah, that, and he kicked our butt in Sonoma, which would have put us up there for going most consecutive final rounds. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, when you race, whether it's your dad or your best friend or whoever, I mean, that's just how we do it. And I think that if there were any doubt before that, I think we've somewhat erased most of that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt anymore that he is he is not going along with the program. Right. He is not going to listen, even if that's the plan. Billy is not going to listen to that plan.
Or the guys over there tuning it, so we just leave them alone.
There you have it. All right, so this weekend, Gateway, cool track, Worldwide Technology Raceway. I haven't looked at the weather just yet, but whatever it is, it's going to be that, race 2. And I know we're going to have a good crowd. That's one thing I know.
Yes, sir, and I look forward to going back there. Last year was really fun. I remember race day was quick. We ran 60s every lap. So I think that it'll be a great show. I haven't looked at the weather myself, but you get either really nice, cool conditions or it's just hotter than Hades there. So who knows what we'll see.
There you go. Steve, thank you for making the time for WFO Podcast. Really appreciate it. We can talk to you, at only the great times, but I think there's sometimes more to learn at moments like this, the way you guys are approaching it. And so I appreciate it, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Joe. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Steve. Steve Torrence with us here on WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. Subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, the WFO Radio mobile application. And if you want to figure out how to listen, just go to WFOradio.com. And we've got it all laid out there for you, like what's best for you. My thoughts on Steve. Steve was, very calm, obviously, very balanced, moderated tones, as you would expect. And he knows he's got a championship team, and he knows they've had a couple of bad races, but they could rip off 5 in a row, right? This is a team that could win out right from now, and will have a different attitude. So is this a must-win situation? No, it is not. It is not a must-win situation. Is it a must-get-out-of-the-first-round situation? Yeah, you might want to say that. But even then, not really, because they could rip off 4 in a row at the end of the season. When you have shown what the CAPCO team has shown, nothing is impossible unless the math says it's not possible. If Richie Crampton were to go out there and win another race and Steve lose first round, then that would be a great challenge. But that's what's interesting about it. Now the CAPCO team has to play from behind. They have to go in. It's not a steamroll job like it was last year. They're going to have to scrap it out. What will they do? And that is what is interesting to me. Thanks to Steve for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. He's the champ of our sport. He's the face of Top Fuel. He's one of the most outspoken personalities in all of auto racing. I'm talking Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and otherwise. Who is more colorful and outspoken than Steve Torrence? And he is in a championship fight trying to go back-to-back with his family racing team. I think it is exciting, it's interesting, and we'll be tracking that story this weekend. If you're a fan of Steve, share this interview. Your friends are going to want to hear it, no doubt. Now, later on in the week on WFO, continue to follow the feed. Enable push notifications on the WFO Radio app. You're going to hear J.R. Todd, our other Mellow Yellow world champion, who is in a title defense situation, is right in the thick of things. J.R. Todd going to talk about his DHL funny car, the Coletta Motorsports team, Doug Coletta running well. We're going to just pepper him with questions like we always do. J.R. going to be on the show, kind enough to join us here on WFO. Also, Austin Prock going to be with us here on WFO as well. Alan Reinhart early in the week already did a great job, and you can go into the archive. We'll have an Ignition show talking about what's Ignition, you might be wondering. Ignition is just entertainment, folks. It's just an entertainment podcast. Hot topics, things that happen, stuff in the news, movies. Of course, we cover NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, like we discuss what's going on in the world of motorsports. A lot of NHRA drag racing on Ignition. A lot of my behind-the-scenes gripes and stories and rants, things that I keep away from you here on this show. They go over there. That's what Ignition is for. And I think you will really enjoy it. A lot of people do. Simple as that. Big thanks to our sponsors. Talking about samtech.edu. Thank you so much. Remember, Factory Stock Podcast. If you like Factory Stock Showdown is back in action this weekend. 2 races remaining. And we talk with Mark Powick. And we speak with Chris Vang, who is on the Kramer team. Dave Kramer, Derek Kramer, Showdown car, and a pro stocker. Plus Brian Massengill on the new 2020 schedule. Check that out. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com, Marvin Rodak, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, MagicDryUS.com, and Total Seal Piston Rings, all jumping on board to help out WFO as we get ready for 2020, and our 10th anniversary is upon us. Thanks to Steve Torrence. Thanks to all you listeners, and just be ready. More WFO is coming.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.
You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to magicdryus.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. magicdryus.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's magicdryus.com. Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, and you know the holidays are coming, whether it be licensing for super comp, super gas, all the way up to top alcohol, they can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
This is WFO Radio.